so I have a confession to make as well. I'm not a founder of Realex Payments. So I joined the company in 2005, and I would have been employee number 14. At that stage, we would have had about, say, 450 customers. So right now, we've got 6,000 customers. We're 110 people, and courtesy of a deal that we've just signed at the beginning of the year, we'll be going to 11,000 customers by the end of the year. So it's a good story. But I've seen both sides of the coin, because I've actually started my own business and failed at it as well, and then went back to being an employee. So I'll just give you a little bit of history. So I graduated from business. It would have been, again, from Trinity, apologies, at least for you. But in 1996, and I took a job with an investment bank in the operations function. So I moved to London. I did that for a couple of years, and I kind of got itchy feet. A lot of my friends were away, and they were traveling and seeing the world. And you know, the operations job that I was doing was largely based in London. So if I wanted to travel, I thought I'd have to give up the job. But I actually managed to combine the two, and I then got a job in a banking software company. And I spent the next 4 years traveling the globe implementing banking software. And when you're traveling the globe, if you ever get a professional services job, that means you're pretty much never in Ireland. My liver pretty much couldn't take it after 4 years. So I came back and I joined an early stage startup. And it's interesting to listen to the likes of Niall, that you can now start a company with a laptop and 10,000 euros. In the old days it was a little bit different. So the company that I joined raised about 3 million and was completely pre-revenue. So we had no customers. We're building a product where we thought was a great space. But it was a struggle then to get customers on that. They are currently, I should say, profitable. But as a result of all the investment that had to go in, the founders of that company own pretty much nothing of it. So it's all the VCs and the investment houses that actually have the money, because they were the ones who provided that upfront capital. But I didn't want to wait around until we found a sufficient customer base to become profitable. So I went off and I started my own company. And it was actually originally completely offline, and it was actually doing something that I love in the golfing space. And it went really well for about 6 months. Got the turnover up to 6 figures. After a year, it kind of plateaued. After a year and a half, I kind of said, this isn't really going to work out, and I wanted to go back and find a job again. And that's when I joined Realex. So I think if I look back at my own career, I think I'm with Realex over 7 years now in March. So that's double the amount of time that I've done any of the rest of those jobs. If you decide that entrepreneurship is not for you, I think there can be a halfway house with regard to the size of the company. You will get a lot more exposure and accountability with the smaller companies. And I mentioned the capital, I suppose, raising process has changed greatly. When I was talking about the company that I joined, that had to raise several million for their pre-revenue. But I think attitudes have changed also as well. I remember about 4 months before my finals, I was outside having a cigarette in the ramp in Trinity with Terry Clune. And Terry Clune was standing there with 2 job offers from 2 great companies, and he was telling me how he was going to turn them down. And I was looking at him like he was completely crazy. Why would you do that? And it's a bit like Alan said, that your mother, your girlfriend, and even random college associates will tell you that you're crazy. But Terry went on, and he put taxback.com on the map. So he's the founder of Taxback, and that started really, for him just as a summer job. Went over to Germany. There were a few guys who, he would do the admin for them and filling out their tax returns, take a cut, and he's grown taxback.com, and particularly the last couple of years. So they did 60 million turnover in 2009, but I think they were up at about 200 million last year. So they're absolutely phenomenal. And I think events like this, and again, credit to Gary, Ed, and John for putting this together. Events like this are coming up all the time. Actually, last week was just there was the Irish University Entrepreneurship Forum, which again, that was set up by a bunch of UCD students, and they had taken about 100 applicants. And they also had to write a business plan, so it's worthwhile to touch base with them and the criteria that they used, they whittled it down to 8, and they put those 8 people in front of a panel of about 26 business leaders. And you think, great, do a business plan. You know, a lot of them had fairly developed ideas, and some of them were, in fact, were generating significant revenue. So you might think the prize is getting in front of 26 business people, so what? But those business people, you know, included Dragons. There was Chris Horn, you know, there was the MD of HP in Ireland. There was people who have access to serious capital that they'd be able to not only advise but also to invest. And I mean, those people were giving up their free time, and they were, you know, most of them were multi-millionaires. So I think, you know, what people have said in Ireland, it really is a case of find someone that you think can help you, and, you know, pick up the phone. A lot of the things that you hear about funding out there, a lot of the people who are looking to invest will only do it at, in fact, later stage. So most of you are probably all very, very early stage. So maybe there's grants and you know, research aids available to you. There's also the startup centres, the enterprise centres, the incubators, the research centres. So be it the Ryan Academy, be it Startup Bootcamp, be it Hothouse. But just find out and educate yourself about all these, and they'll all generally have subtle differences about what type of companies that they support. And some of them, in fact, will have, I suppose, specific verticals that they would have experience on. So people who've been on the programs that have been in specific verticals that, you know, that your business is going into, and they'll be able to provide you with a lot of advice. So I don't know if anyone's aware of, I suppose, a central site that will help you try and map all of this. I mean, you know, if you're taking a look around, one of the things that I found useful was like the Irish Software Innovation Network, you know, ISIN.ie. Take a look at that. So we're a payment gateway, so if people want to take payments online within Ireland, they, you know, will generally use Realex, and I'm glad to see you. Thank you very much for your custom, gentlemen. We have customers here today. But a lot of the stats that you'll hear around internet usage and payments are usually around the issuing side, so they're around people buying stuff. The things that Realex sees is around the businesses. So we can see how many businesses have started up, is that increasing, decreasing, how many are going out of business, how much volume are they doing, what's the average ticket price. So we get a good insight into how the internet economy is doing. With the Realex business model, kind of service pay as you use, it's, you know, it takes a long while before you get to earn a revenue, but hopefully once you get to earn it, you can then keep it, and you can keep it every month, every year after that, and therefore it becomes a cumulative thing. But in the beginning, I think, you know, things were quite tight, and it's different to what it is now. I mean, now you're looking at, you know, 10,000 euros to start a business, but at the time we had to comply to certain regulations. So we had to build, you know, we had to build data centers as well, we had to put our equipment within data centers. And, you know, the cloud will allow you to do a lot of things now that weren't possible then. So, you know, when you're looking back in 2001 when, you know, we're scrounging around for servers and data centers, and, you know, looking at nice, shiny Cisco equipment that will cost you 20,000 euros for one device, you know, and we weren't simply making 20,000 euros. So we begged, borrowed, and you know, well, we didn't steal, we begged and borrowed a lot of the equipment at the time, but a lot of that was infrastructure cost that doesn't really exist today. So one of the things, though, just is to watch out. Just think about your business model and be realistic about the financials. So I think that if you speak to Colin at the beginning, he had no illusion, and he was in this for the long run, and he also had a young family at that stage. So, you know, paying the mortgage is something that has to happen as well. The other thing that I would just mention is just, again, trying to match your revenues with your costs. This is our staff numbers just overlaid on top. I suppose what I really want to do is come back to you at the end of the year, because in 2012 with the HSBC deal that we've signed, we'll actually have 7,000 new customers this year. So that blue piece in that bar, you know, will shoot off the top there. But this is something to watch out for. And one of the things that we've done is we've tried to reinvest. So as you grow and you need more specialisms, the guys talked about the initial teams, but as you grow as well, you need individual, you know, specialities. We've got, you know, there's 2 SQL DBAs, one of the, you know, most expensive resources that are out there in the technology world. We simply couldn't afford them in the beginning. But what we've done is we've reinvested all the time back into the business. And I suppose one of the interesting things about Realex as well is that we're actually currently trying to create a business from within the business. So we currently have a wholly owned subsidiary called CarPay, which is basically like a current account without the overdraft. So it's probably been an idea for about 9 years. It's been in development for about 2 years. We've had to go through a number of hoops in terms of regulation and things, but really, hopefully, my goal will be to standing here in front of you next year talking about building a business not just by yourself, but actually from within a business, and how to spin off other businesses from within that. So there you go. That's it. This is my own, career and thoughts on Realex.